Hello and welcome to Nigeria, the Road to 2019, a series of programs where Arise News places the audience and the choice at the heart of our coverage of the upcoming presidential elections. I'm Charles Anyekul. We're coming up in the next 30 minutes, all the news, comment and analysis that provide unrivaled insight into Nigeria 2019, including as the storm clouds of bitterness, resentment and rebellion continue to drench the ruling APC party against the backdrop of accusations and counter-accusations over insecurity in the Middle Belt, we talk to President Buhari's spokesman, Garba Shehu, and ask whether any plans are afoot at the highest levels to rescue the party and Mr. Buhari's chances in 2019 from imminent collapse. Across Nigeria, a loud, insistent, raucous alarm is sounding over the growing insecurity that's rocking the country. The political ructions emerging from this are still being quantified, but they are growing like a spreading tree, placing President Buhari and his ruling APC party in a situation of extreme, agonizing vulnerability that could easily blaze up and start a conflagration destructive enough to singe and perhaps even burn their house down at the 2019 elections. The hoarse shouts of fighting, the terrifying screams of the wounded, the muffled sounds of the dying, the pop of gunfire, and the demented ring of the assassins' voices surround the presidential villa in Abuja. But so far, no sign that the hissing sound of the flames is about to be extinguished. Meanwhile, the President's All Progressives Congress is itself in a dark, murky place, with the political rumblings within moving the party perilously close to insurrection as members of the rebellious and quarrelsome R-APC threaten to flex their considerable muscle to bring Mr. Buhari to his knees so close to the general election. So, are these the bolts from the crossbow that'll pierce and kill the president's re-election bid? Or can Mr. Buhari's strong principles and still considerable support help to pull the APC back from the brink? Well, to get the president's perspective on both the growing insecurity across Nigeria and within his ruling APC party, I'm joined now in the studio by Mr. Buhari's deftly articulate spokesman, Garba Shehu. And I say that because I want to soften you up before we begin the interview. No, but you are very articulate. That's a fact. Everybody admits that. But let's begin by saying, first of all, thank you very much indeed for coming in. I know it's been a busy few days for you, but let's talk about this yawning chasm that's opened up between President Buhari and the leadership of the APC party on the one hand and various coalition partners on the other. How worried is the president by all that?
Well, every vote is important in a democracy, and so therefore is there a prospect of losing one electoral vote? If it is there, then it should worry a Democrat. Is there insurgency in the party, insurrection?
You're saying, is there?
Yeah.
The question is, how deep is the insurrection, not whether there is an insurrection. I think we've gone past the stage of denying the facts.
No. These are games that are being played. People are they are jostling for position. It's a language of negotiation. People want to be given what they think they deserve, or they want to get more than what they rightly deserve.
And why have they not been given what they
because
think
then
the
system must have a larger view of the entire political spectrum. You must look at everyone and everything. You have elections coming next year, and people make their calculations. We have, for instance, for the presidential contest, there are people who aspire to be the president of Nigeria, and they are members of the APC, and it's a legitimate aspiration. When they make their calculations and they see that they stand no chance against President Buhari, they want to go out and look for chances elsewhere.
Well, that's not what we're hearing.
No, but that's the truth.
Well, I mean, what we're hearing is that at the heart of this internal conflict that is a narrative of dashed expectations, because people we've spoken to, including the breakaway faction, say that at the heart of this is that the president has essentially failed to deliver on the promises that were made by the party to the electorate. And the fact that on a daily basis, the difference in interests and feelings between the president and those coalition partners who supported him in the 2015 elections is widening should be cause for concern for you and for the president.
No, the thing is, politicians, they want to dramatize these things. Nobody wants to live quietly. They want to be noticed. They want to create earthquakes. They want to be seen as they move away from the party. And so therefore, all of these things about the president fail, who the hell is there to say this? The president has been calculative and focused on key policy issues that brought him to his office.
But is he doing that at the risk of alienating those people? Because a lot of those people feel that he's become unreachable, he's become arrogant, and that he's been driven by, you know, I suppose the arrogance of power, that he's no longer listening to the people who brought him in.
No, that he probably is no longer giving as much as they had wished. And then perhaps giving them everything that they needed would have been detrimental to all of the other people who also have a stake in all of these things. You are dealing with, for instance, look at the National Assembly members who are trooping, who supposedly are queuing up to go, but they are also making some calculations. They are looking at the political space back at home in their own states. How would I gain re-election ticket? Some of them have zero chance of getting tickets to run again on the platform of the APC. So the thing is that they want to rake up this mark, and then say everyone is not doing their job, and then look, the thing is we are used to these things. This doesn't have happened at every pre-election period.
But then it has the potential to cause considerable damage. And the question is, does the president or you or anyone in the party or elsewhere have any idea how they will, or if they will ever bridge this deepening crack in the APC?
I am not seeing a deepening crack.
Well, we are.
I'm saying that, and we have a new leadership of the political party, which has hit the ground running on day one. The chairman of the party said, look, this thing is that we will cement cracks, and we will go after those who are genuinely aggrieved, and we will look at their own problems, and they're already doing that. But the thing is that no matter what Mr. Shomali does, no matter what President Buhari does, there are people who have no more space in the APC, and they got to go somewhere else. Because the thing is that there's a promise of automatic ticket in opposition political parties. And if they don't have tickets to run in APC, they will go there.
Yeah,
so
but
they let them go and chance it.
But that's the whole point of democracy in the party. You talked about democracy. They ought to have the opportunity. No,
they make calculations. The opportunity is there. It's a democratic process.
Right.
And what they are doing is that they are looking at all of the elements that are on the ground, and advising themselves, do I stand a chance? And as I said to you, there are some with zero chance. The electoral fortunes, the goodwill, has been expended on nothing, and they got nothing. Look, I come from a constituency in which I have a senator who hasn't stepped into my constituency for 3 years. This guy had resided in the moon all this period. So what do we expect of him? Would he now come and say to me, give me your vote? So where will you go to? To Mars or Saturn?
Well, let's talk specifically about the challenge to President Buhari from the reformed All Progressives Congress group, or the R-APC. They say President Buhari and the APC leadership have failed to deliver on the promises made during the 2015 elections and to stick to the letter of the party's constitution, and that the evidence is there for all to see, especially in areas such as the fight against corruption, security, and the economy, and the lack of internal democracy within the party. What is your reaction to that?
Well, as I said, the president had been focused and calculative in all of the things he had said, and the president had disciplined himself throughout the period of the campaign, staying mainly on 3 key measures of security, of economy, and anti-corruption.
Well, we're going to
and if you are going to assess the president on the basis of each of these three counts, nobody who is fair in the assessment will give the president nothing less than 90% success.
Well, we're going to assess certainly the security part a little bit later in this program. But let's talk about a number of things. For example, internal democracy within the APC. You've touched on that. The fight against corruption and the economy.
Now, internal democracy means that whoever aspires to rise to a level higher than they are, elected positions, they have access, they have the rights, equal rights to run for those offices. It has never been circumscribed. The problem with all of these elements who are fighting Buhari is because in the past it had been done. Presidents sat down in Asarok offices. They donated tickets at the pleasure of the president. This president has no such pleasure. No, he would not interfere. And this is why all of the bickering, all of the bitter things that are being, they wouldn't just move President Buhari to call party chairman and say, in the case of Benue or Bayelsa or Edo, these are the candidates, and they must emerge. It's not going to happen.
So in a sense, what you're saying is that the president is such a principled person that he doesn't interfere in internal politics, and that is what is causing all of this, because people feel that he owes them something.
Yeah, that's
and should use his influence to deliver things for them.
And the president won't just do that.
Right. Would you say, though, that given that, even if the president is right, I mean, there could be consequences as a result of that?
There will be.
What I mean is, would you say they are coming uncomfortably close to muddying the waters for the president's re-election bid, both inside the APC and in the wider Nigerian context? Or is the, as they say, is the stag still ahead of the deer hounds, as is often said in England? In other words, the president is the stag and he's still ahead of the deer hounds.
Well, the thing is that we just can't go on pretending that we're a democracy when we are not one. Look at what happened, all of the things that have been said about how the leadership of the National Assembly emerged from the very beginning. I sat in meetings in which governors had said to the president, look, Mr. President, it doesn't happen like that. You must produce your speaker, you must produce your Senate president. He said, no, the parliament is a different arm of government, let them choose whoever. I had one or two say, look, as governor, I must have the speaker of my parliament in my pocket. Otherwise, there will be trouble. President, you must have Senate president and the speaker in your. He said no. Yeah. Did everything go 100% as they should have? No. But the thing is that it's a price to pay for democracy, for rule of law. And for this reason, the president will have no regrets for allowing due processes to prevail in all of these circumstances.
Well, I mean, some people would say, listening to you just now, and perhaps many Nigerians would possibly agree with them, that you and your fellow deputies at the presidency and the party leadership, and this is what people have been complaining about, sound supercilious or almost haughtily disdainful and contemptuous of any opinion apart from your own, and that this comes with the arrogance of power, and that perhaps it's time to take that power away from you and teach you that you have a warrant from the people and that you're a servant of the people, not an overlord.
No, the thing is that there's the difference between a servant of the people and a hostage to a few. You have a powerful vocal few who want to hold the institutions, who want to hold the president hostage. And the president is saying, no, my fate is not in your hands. It's in the hands of 200 million Nigerians. They have it's the vote, one man, one vote. So this is the difference it makes. This left to them, these elements, no, what do they want? In fact, I just read as I came into the studio, somebody was saying, and that's the new leader of this so-called rebel group, saying, I ought to be in the president's kitchen cabinet. And so somebody on Facebook was asking, so is that the reason for all of these things? But the president, shouldn't he reserve the right to choose who he puts in his kitchen
cabinet.
cabinet.
But you can't
you
deny...
don't aspire, it's not an elective position.
You can't deny that all this is having a detrimental effect, certainly in the eyes of the electorate. Number one, as to what is going on inside the party, and number two, as to how President Buhari is handling a crisis within his party. I mean, for many people, there was a dream that began with so much hope around President Buhari in 2015. And for many of those people, that dream is now shredded in tatters.
Yeah, but is it due to Buhari? Is it due to Buhari or the actions of maybe some other people?
See it as the president's party that's falling apart.
Yeah, well, the party's president is the party, the APC as a party is intact, is very strong, and is in a good shape to win the next election. Especially when you look at the disarray in which all of those who pretended to be opposing us are in.
Okay,
so
well,
the thing is that it's not arrogance to believe in yourself, to believe you are doing the right thing, and to stick with that.
Okay, Garba, please stay with us because we'd like to talk to you some more. You're watching Nigeria, the road to 2019. Plenty more still ahead, including we discuss President Buhari's controversial statement that disgruntled politicians are responsible for instigating the attacks and counterattacks in Nigeria's Central Belt region. Stay with us. Welcome back to Nigeria, the road to 2019. I'm Charles Aniegolu. Now to the conflict in Nigeria's Middle Belt region between nomadic herders and local farmers and its potential impact on the upcoming general election. It's a complicated situation that's pitting Nigerians against each other along ethnic, religious, and political lines. Many more people have died in this crisis this year than in the more publicized Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast. Well, just this weekend, President Buhari insisted that the Middle Belt crisis is being instigated by politicians who oppose him and who are seeking greater relevance in Nigeria's political landscape, a charge that's inflamed members of the opposition as well as supporters of victims of the crisis in the Central Belt. Well, with me in the studio is President Buhari's spokesman, Garba Shehu. Thank you very much indeed for sticking with us. Just tell us how the president reads this violence in the Middle Belt and how it's escalated so much in recent months. How much of it is politics, as the president has suggested?
Well, let me tell you, yes, I will not lie to you. The president is worried by the killings, by the loss of life. But he's equally worried about the rhetoric and the narrative that is out there, including the one that we just rendered now. Because to say that more people, many more people have been killed in the farmer-herdsman clashes than Boko Haram.
This year, that's what we said, this year, and that's a fact. The statistics are
there. Okay, well, I thought you were looking at the global picture.
Because this year,
well, the thing is that
more people have
beyond
been killed.
the boundaries of this country, you know that these are matters that have been discussed at the international level. You have seen people with a huge following, whether Facebook, Twitter,
yeah, but Nigerians
from
are not
outside the country.
Not interested in the international level.
That's the point.
They've charged the president with becoming a the chief security officer of this country, and he's not delivering.
The problem is that the narrative out there is based on falsehood. When they go out there to say that Buhari presides over the killing of Christians in Nigeria.
Well, that's not what we said.
Well, that's what is out there now.
Yeah, but that's not the issue.
And the thing then is that
the issue is that people, Christians and Muslims, are being killed every day.
Well,
and you're not doing anything to stop that.
Don't say nothing is being done about it.
Well, you're not doing enough to stop it.
Well, the thing is that to say that is to pretend as if these things are just dropping from the sky, and that this country had lived with this sort of clashes or for all of the years this country had existed.
That doesn't.
And that is not to say that we are right to
allow.
We are not allowing
it has
anything.
escalated under your
even
administration.
in terms of the numbers which we have. This is not the worst of times in this country. However, the president is unhappy, even if it is just one life that is being lost.
Well, he should be.
What is being done about it? Well, the president has escalated military defense in all of the areas that we are talking about. There is a huge presence of military personnel, equipment and policemen and civil defense and all of that, more than any other thing, growing engagement with local communities, so that in the end, when the policemen go home and close for work, neighbors would have to respect one another and live with one another peacefully.
Well, the problem is that you're not telling us as much about what you just said, because what we heard the president signposting in Borno State at the weekend was the fact that he's saying that, and that emerged in your press release, he's summarizing the whole issue as politicians who are questing for relevance in Nigeria's political landscape.
In addition to all other things, politicians are in it. And we have the evidence.
Yeah, but that's what
people are not paying attention. As I speak to you now, I know that in Taraba there are people in court, politicians in court. In Benue there are politicians in court for these killings. And when we were in Plateau, the governor who received the president and addressed him, he said the few arrests we have made, people have made confessions as to who sent them out to do these things. So the thing is, the Nigerians are impatient. They want president. Well, they are waiting for the names of candidates in presidential contest. Maybe they are looking for recognizable names in that respect. But otherwise, politicians, whether you are a local council chairman and then you are complicit in this thing, or a member of state legislature, or a special advisor to the governor, as we have in some of these cases that are ongoing in courts, they are politicians. And the judiciary must be allowed to do its work.
I think what is annoying people is that it seemed as though, I mean, this was an infuriating platitude, and that was the answer that was being proffered to the victims of all the violence in those areas, that politicians who are questing for more power and jockeying for positions in Nigeria's political landscape are sponsoring this stuff, when the people who are there are clearly seeing that there is a big problem, you know, around land and around people either wanting to take land or defend their land.
Well, the president has never denied that in addition, the climate change has always factored, has always featured in all of the explanations that the president has given. It's there for everyone to see. It's not a creation of this administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. Lake Chad is 10% of its original size, and there's no green grass in all of those areas. There's no water so they have to drive their cattle towards areas that have greens, and then they walk them into farmlands, and then that's the beginning of trouble. However, the thing is that politicians are taking advantage of these things. Why are they doing so? It's because they simply have lost the narrative. The president is focused on three key things, as I mentioned. They don't want to challenge the president on corruption because they have lost the argument. It's the economy. Economy is growing. Is it insecurity?
Well,
we have pushed about Boko Haram. We have stabilized the Delta.
Yeah, but you keep talking about Boko Haram. There's another crisis that's nobody's talking about Boko Haram. We're talking about the crisis in the Middle Belt.
Meanwhile, it's equally being addressed.
Yeah, but we're almost out of time. I just want to get this question in. Your press release also touched on something called Operation Awatse to combat militant activity in the Arepo area and other parts of the southeast. What is this southwest? Sorry. What is this militant activity in the southwest, and how new is it? Very briefly.
It's been there before, and a year ago, Air Force jets were sent to bomb the creeks, because apparently, you know, militants who have lost their operating space in Niger Delta South moved in, you know, to Lagos and Ogun, those areas.
So a new security crisis facing your government.
And the government tackled that initially. And then there was peace, all of the kidnappings and all of that. And it's like they have gone back in again. And 2 weeks ago, the Air Force sent back the jets. And there's an ongoing operation to clean up that place now.
Garba Shehu, I want to thank you exceedingly for coming in. Garba Shehu, of course, President Buhari's spokesman. Well, that's it for this edition of Nigeria, The Road to 2019. Join us again for a fresh edition tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, bye-bye, and thank you for watching. Thank you very much indeed.